smoke filled the sky. The ground shook under the roar of far-off explosions. Eli, a young human soldier, lay still among the ruins. His armor was cracked, his helmet gone, and his leg twisted in a way no leg should be. He couldn't move. He couldn't scream. His radio was silent, his team gone. His hand trembled as he touched the bloody wound on his side. Dirt and blood covered his face. The battlefield around him was silent now, silent and dead. The last blast had thrown him against a wall, and now he couldn't feel his right arm. Eli knew he didn't have long. No medics were coming, no backup, just him. And the pain, but then a sound, footsteps, heavy, too heavy to be human. Eli's eyes opened wide. Something was coming. He tried to reach for his weapon, but his arm wouldn't respond. All he could do was stare at the ruined sky above him. A giant shadow passed over his broken body. Then it stopped. Something knelt beside him. Big, broad, towering. Eli blinked and saw her. A massive alien figure, at least 9 feet tall. Her skin was deep blue and shimmered like polished stone. Her silver eyes glowed gently in the dim light. Long white hair flowed down her back, and strange armor covered her chest and shoulders. But what shocked Eli the most was the look in her eyes. Concern, not hatred. Her huge hand reached out, slow and careful, like she didn't want to scare him. She spoke in a soft, deep voice, her words broken but clear. "You hurt, I help." Eli tried to push her away with his working arm. "No. Stay back," he whispered. The alien woman tilted her head, almost like a curious animal. She didn't listen. Instead, she gently placed one glowing hand on his chest. A warm pulse passed through his skin, and Eli gasped. The pain in his ribs eased slightly. "Why?" Eli managed to say. She didn't answer. Instead, she looked around, alert, like she expected someone or something to appear. Then, without warning, she scooped Eli into her arms like he weighed nothing. Eli tried to protest, but his voice was weak. His head leaned against her shoulder as darkness tried to pull him under. As she walked, her long legs moved smoothly over the broken battlefield. Debris and bodies were everywhere. But she stepped with care, never crushing a fallen soldier, no matter which side they had fought for. Her body heat was strong, almost like a furnace. Eli's shivering eased. For a moment, it felt like being held by something ancient and powerful. Yet soft. He could barely keep his eyes open. "Where are you taking me?" he whispered. The alien looked down at him. Her lips curled slightly, not a full smile, but close. "Safe," she said simply. Before sleep took him, Eli thought about home, his sister, his dog, the sun on his face. And now, this strange protector, carrying him through a land of death. Then, all went black. When he opened his eyes again, he wasn't on the battlefield. He was somewhere warm, somewhere quiet, and the 9-foot alien mommy was still watching him like a guardian that refused to let death take him. But Eli didn't know yet. This was just the beginning. Eli woke with a gasp. He was not in a field, not under the sky, and not bleeding out on the cold, broken battlefield. Instead, he found himself lying on something soft and warm. The ceiling above him was curved and glowing, faint blue. Strange symbols danced across the surface, moving like slow waves. The air smelled sweet, like flowers he didn't know. There was no pain in his side now, no pressure in his chest. His hand twitched, bandaged. His leg straight, wrapped tightly. He sat up fast, but his body disagreed. Dizziness hit him like a slap. He gritted his teeth and tried to understand. Where was he? Before panic could rise, he heard a sound. A door, or something like it, slid open with a soft shhk. He turned his head. She entered. The giant alien woman from the battlefield. Her tall frame moved with grace, but her presence filled the room. She ducked slightly to fit through the doorway. In her arms, she carried a tray of food, glowing, strange but somehow comforting. Eli's breath caught in his throat. She wasn't wearing armor now. Only a soft robe made from a silky, white fabric that shimmered in the light. Her long silver hair was tied in a loose braid down her back. She looked almost like a goddess from another world. He stiffened. "What is this? Where am I?" She placed the tray gently beside him and spoke in slow, careful English. "Safe, you. No prison. No war here." Eli didn't trust that. He scanned the room. No cameras, no chains, no guards, just silence. He looked back at her. "You're not going to interrogate me? Torture me?" Her face darkened with sadness. "No, I found you. You were dying. Now you heal." He didn't know what to say. She sat beside him, her knees folded under her. Even sitting, she towered over him. Then she did something unexpected. She reached for a bowl and gently fed him. Eli hesitated, but his stomach growled. The first bite was warm, soft. He swallowed it, surprised. "It's good," he muttered. She nodded once. "My name," she said, touching her chest with a giant finger, "is Mara." Eli blinked. "Mara." She smiled barely, but it was real. Her glowing eyes softened. He forced himself to speak. "Why did you save me?" She looked at him for a long moment. "Long ago, I was soldier, like you. I saw too much pain. Too much hate." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Now I save who I can." Eli leaned back, his head spun. "Even if I'm the enemy?" She gently touched his chest with one warm hand. "Not enemy, just lost." The room fell quiet. Eli's mind raced. Was this some trick? Some mind game? But when he looked into her silver eyes, he saw no lies, no threat, just something else. Something gentle. He took a deep breath. "Thank you, Mara." She tilted her head again. "You are, Eli?" He was surprised. "Yeah. How did you?" She pointed at a small chip on his uniform, his name tag. "Oh, right." She stood slowly, towering above him once more. "You sleep more. Body not strong yet." "I fix you. Fix me?" he asked. She looked at him one last time and said something in her own language, soft and musical, before walking out. The door closed behind her. Eli stared at the food tray, then at his bandaged hands, then at the door. What was this place? Who was she really? Why was she being kind? It didn't make sense, and yet, for the first time in weeks, he didn't feel afraid. He just felt watched over, like someone, something, wanted him alive more than anything, and that truth was more frightening and comforting than anything war had ever shown him. The second time Eli woke up, he wasn't in bed. He was floating. Warm liquid surrounded him, thick but gentle. He panicked for a moment, his arms flailed, but then the transparent gel released him, and he fell softly onto a cushion-like floor. A strange hiss echoed through the chamber. He coughed, blinking at the soft lights. Where was he now? A curved dome overhead opened like a flower, petals sliding apart, the healing pod. He remembered Mara's voice before the sleep, speaking softly as she lowered him inside. She had said, "You will wake." Better. Now his body felt strange. Lighter, stronger. Even his scarred leg no longer throbbed. It felt whole. He looked around. The walls glowed with moving lights and symbols. Not human tech, nothing even close. And the smell, the same soft, sweet scent, like warm flowers and rain. Eli stepped forward, testing his strength. No pain, no limp. He could breathe fully again. Then the wall opened. Mara stood there, watching him with her quiet silver eyes. This time, she wore a long dark cloak that shimmered with green threads like living vines. Her voice was softer than before. "You are well. Come." He followed. She led him down a corridor made of smooth, living stone. Vines crawled along the walls, glowing softly like stars. The air felt warm, almost like it breathed with him. Eli couldn't help asking, "Where are we?" Mara didn't stop walking. Old place. Temple, built by my mothers. Long before. The wars. You live in a temple? She nodded once. It is forgotten. No one comes here. It is safe. He kept close as they entered a great open chamber. His eyes widened. It was massive. The ceiling reached higher than any hall he had seen, even on Earth. Statues lined the walls, tall and graceful, shaped like her people but older. Each one held a symbol glowing softly in their chests, one shaped like a hand, one like a flame, another like a tear. In the center of the room was a pool of clear water. Giant lily floated on its surface, giving off light like floating lanterns. Eli whispered, "This place is beautiful." Mara stepped ahead and looked at a statue shaped like a female warrior with wings. She touched it gently. This was the matron of mercy, my ancestor. She healed enemies. She ended battles. Ele looked at her carefully. "Is that what you're doing? Following her path?" She didn't answer right away. Then she said, "I was once like you, young, angry, loyal to war. But when my child died, by a human's fire." Eli's chest tightened. She continued, "I chose another path, to heal, to forgive, not for them, for me." Eli stepped beside her. He didn't know what to say. Her words hung heavy in the air. He asked carefully, "And now? You live here alone?" Mara turned to him, her face unreadable. "I saved many. Alien, human, it never mattered. But they leave. They always leave." She looked into his eyes. "Will you?" Eli opened his mouth but said nothing. The silence was thick. Then she turned and walked to a raised platform at the far side of the hall. She touched a panel, and a series of holographic shapes appeared. Stars, ships, worlds. Some were labeled in her language. Some showed battles, others peace. "This is where I learn," she said. "About Earth, about your people. Your wars, your pain." Eli looked at one of the floating orbs. It was Earth's home. "You've been watching." "US?" he asked. She nodded, trying to understand. He stared at her. A towering alien woman who once led soldiers, now hiding in a forgotten temple, trying to understand the people who took everything from her. Why was she showing him this? He finally spoke, voice soft. "Why me, Mara?" She looked down at him, her eyes glowing gently. "Because when I found you, you didn't cry for help. You didn't beg. You looked at me like I mattered." Eli said nothing. Mara walked closer, standing just inches away. He had to tilt his head to meet her gaze. "I don't want to be alone anymore," she said simply. And just like that, Eli understood. This wasn't just a hidden place. This was a broken heart. Trying to heal. The days passed, but Eli no longer counted them. He stayed in the temple, far from war, far from orders, far from death. Yet something inside him still burned like a quiet fire. Nightmares, regrets. The past didn't heal as fast as the body, even as his wounds closed. Something deeper stayed open. Every night, Eli dreamed of screams and falling bombs. Every night. He woke gasping, sweat soaking his chest, eyes wide with panic. And every night, she was there. A single quotes raw. The giant alien woman never knocked. She simply entered, silent and calm, sitting beside him on the soft floor of his room. No questions. Number. Judgment. Only presence. Once, during one of those nights, Eli whispered, "Do you ever dream of it? The war?" She didn't speak at first. Then, softly, "I dream of the children, their faces, not dying. Just staring at me, waiting." Eli turned too. Look at her. Her face was strong always. But in that moment, something inside her cracked. Not visible, but felt. Like a wound that never fully closed. He said quietly, "I'm broken, you know." Mara looked at him with those glowing silver eyes. "So am I." That was the first time they sat in silence without fear. One morning, Eli stood shirtless. in front of a mirror-like panel. He studied the long scar that cut across his ribs. His fingers traced it. Jagged. Ugly. Proof of pain. Behind him, Mara entered. She paused, her gaze falling on the scar. Without a word, she stepped closer. Her large, warm hand reached forward, not touching, just hovering close. "May I?" she asked. Eli nodded once. Her fingers, soft and slow, touched the scar. Her skin was warm. Her touch careful. She hummed something low in her throat. A song? A memory? Then she said, "We carry our stories here," pointing to his chest. "But we also carry them here." Her hand moved over his heart. Eli looked up at her. "How do I stop remembering?" Mara lowered herself to sit at his level. "You don't stop, you carry." But not alone. He looked away, blinking fast. Number. One had ever said that to him, not the doctors. Not the officers. Not even his own family. Later that day, Eli followed her outside the temple for the first time. They stepped into a jungle of glowing vines and soft golden light. The sky above was purple with two suns drifting apart like sleepy eyes. Strange. Birds with crystal wings flew overhead, and the air buzzed with quiet life. Mara knelt near a tall plant with silver leaves and motioned for Eli to sit. "This is the place of memories," she said. "My people come here to speak without words." Eli tilted his head. "How?" She placed her hand on the plant. The leaves shimmered, and images appeared in the air. A battlefield. Children laughing. A tall alien male smiling beside Mara, holding a tiny child in his arms. Eli's breath caught. "That's your family?" She nodded. "Was." The image shifted. Fire. Screams. The male lying still. The child gone. Eli swallowed hard. "I'm sorry." Mara turned to him. "Now." "You." He froze. I don't know how." "Touch it," she said gently. "Think. Don't speak. Just feel." He hesitated, then placed his hand on the leaves. A swirl of memories rose. His sister waving goodbye. The shuttle launch, the first ambush, blood on his hands. The moment he thought he was going to die. And then Mara's face. Her silver eyes. The moment he woke in her arms. She watched the memory silently. "You see now," she said softly. "You do not remember only pain." Eli looked down. "I didn't know I needed this." "You did," she whispered. "We all do." That night, Eli didn't dream of war. He dreamed of silver leaves and humming songs. He dreamed of a giant hand holding his. Not with force, but with care. And for the first time in a long time, he felt like healing was not impossible, that had already begun. The rain came softly, not like Earth's. On this alien world, the raindrops glowed faintly and fell without sound. They drifted down like tiny stars, lighting the leaves in silver and blue. Eli stood just outside the temple entrance, his arms crossed, eyes distant. He had been there for weeks, healed, fed, protected, but not forgotten. Behind him, the temple pulsed with gentle life. And inside, Mara, the alien woman who had saved him, cared for him, and shown him more kindness than any human had since the war began. She was watching him now. She always watched. He didn't mind. That morning, Mara had placed a small metal box in front of him. It shimmered with soft green light. "What is it?" he asked. "Beacon," she said. Eli stared at it. She spoke calmly as always. "It sends signal. Your people will find it. In 3 days, a patrol ship passes near sky. If you activate, they come." He didn't speak. "Not right away, do you want me to leave?" he finally asked. Her lips pressed together, unreadable. "I want you free." Eli picked up the beacon. It was cold. It hummed faintly in his hands. His chest felt heavier than ever. 3 days. She repeated. Then she walked away. He carried the beacon with him everywhere. He didn't activate it. He just held it by the water pool in the memory garden, even while eating the strange soft bread Mara made with her massive hands, but it never left his fingers. That night, he sat beside her under the glowing trees. Neither of them spoke. Then he asked her softly, "Do you want me to go?" Mara looked at him for a long time. Her voice was low. "I want you to choose." He glanced at her massive hand resting on the stone. It could crush his whole body, but it had only ever healed him, fed him, protected him. "I was just a broken soldier," he whispered. "You are not broken now," she replied. He turned his head. "That's because of you." Mara didn't answer. Instead, she stood up and motioned for him to follow. She led him to a chamber he hadn't seen before. A round room lit by soft blue fire. In the center 6 floating stones. Each showed a scene. Mara with different beings, humans, aliens, creatures he didn't even recognize. All of them injured. All of them healed. But in every image, one thing was the same. They all left her behind. She spoke without turning. "I give life. I give care. But always, they leave." Eli stepped closer. "Why show me this?" She turned, her silver eyes glowing faintly. "Because I don't want to ask you to stay if your heart already left." The room fell quiet again. He lowered his head. "I don't know where my heart is anymore." Mara came close, so close he could feel her warmth, like standing beside a great fire. "I don't need a soldier," she said. "I don't need a child." Her voice trembled for the first time. "I just don't want to be alone anymore." The next day, Eli sat by the river. The beacon sat beside him on a flat rock. His thumb hovered over the button. Press it, and a ship would come. He could go home. Or what was left of it. He looked at the soft water. Then he looked up and saw her watching from afar. Not coming close, just waiting, like she always did. He stood up, picked up the beacon, and slowly walked toward her. He stopped in front of her and placed the beacon gently in her hand. "I don't want to call them," he said. Mara's eyes widened slightly. He continued, "Out there, I'm just another uniform, another tool, another weapon." He stepped closer. "But here, you see me. You don't fix me because you have to. You fix me because you care." She didn't say anything, just stared at him with unreadable emotion. "I don't know what I am yet, but I want to find out, here, with you." The beacon pulsed once in her palm. Then, without a word, she closed her giant hand around it and crushed it into dust. Eli smiled. Mara smiled back for the first time, and the stars above seemed to shine just a little brighter. It began with the silence, not the peaceful kind Eli had grown used to, but the thick, heavy kind that comes before disaster. Birdsong vanished. The glowing plants dimmed. And even the gentle wind stopped moving. Eli was gathering roots with Mara near the outer vines when she suddenly froze, her tall body tensing like a mountain ready to crack. Her eyes narrowed toward the horizon. "What is it?" Eli asked. She didn't answer with words. Instead, she dropped the basket of food and moved fast, faster than he had ever seen her move. She scooped him up with one arm and dashed toward the temple entrance, her massive legs cutting through jungle growth with terrifying speed. Inside, "Now," she growled. Within minutes, the temple sealed itself shut. Vines coiled across doorways. Stones slid over windows. Inside, flickering lights lit up the hallways. Warning pulses. Eli tried to catch his breath. "What's happening?" Mara stood still, eyes glowing brighter than before. Her voice was no longer soft. "Scouts, enemy, they found us." Eli's blood turned cold. "How? We never sent the beacon. No signals, nothing." She shook her head. "They track old tech, heat, patterns. They found ruins, and now they come." Eli stepped beside her. "How many?" She closed her eyes briefly. At least 10, light armor, not scouts clearing team. He clenched his fists. Then we fight. Mara turned sharply. No, I fight, you hide. Eli shook his head. No way, I'm not leaving you alone. Her voice rose like a thunderclap. You are not ready. He stepped back, stunned. Then she turned away, her cloak falling from her shoulders to reveal her full armor underneath, dormant for years, but still gleaming like the bones of a god. The chest plate hummed softly as it activated. Her arms glowed with lines of blue light, and her hands formed gauntlets of energy. She was a healer no more. She was a warrior again. Outside, the jungle shook as the enemy approached. Strange shadows moved through the trees, quick, precise, deadly. They spoke in clicks and growls, scanning everything. Their eyes glowed red behind their helmets. They didn't expect resistance. They thought the temple was empty. They were wrong. Eli watched from behind a sealed door, heart hammering. He had no weapon, no armor, only his will. But Mara walked into the clearing like a queen, made of thunder. They didn't even speak. The first scout raised a Sivaza blaster. She crushed him with one swing. The second tried to leap from a tree. She spun, caught him midair, and slammed him into the dirt. Eli had seen many battles, but never like this. Mara didn't fight like a soldier. She fought like a mother protecting her child, with fire, with fury, with love. But there were too many. She was strong, faster than them, smarter, but they kept coming. One shot landed. Then another. Her shoulder armor cracked. Blood thick and glowing blue spilled down her side. Eli couldn't watch anymore. He grabbed a shard of broken paneling and ran into the light. Mara! He shouted. She turned, just in time to see a scout aiming at his chest, but she didn't think. She moved. She threw herself in front of him, took the shot to her stomach, and then everything went still. The enemy paused, confused. Mara fell to her knees. Eli screamed. He grabbed the blaster from the stunned attacker and fired blindly, desperately. One hit, two, then a third. Suddenly the scouts retreated. Alarms blared in their language. Retreat. Unknown weapon. Hostile structure awakening. The temple itself began to glow. Vines turned red. The stones pulsed with power. The attackers vanished into the forest. Eli dropped the blaster and rushed to her side. Mara, stay with me, please. She looked up, her voice faint. We're not supposed to. I don't care, he yelled. I'm not losing you, not now. Her hand reached up, trembling, and touched his face. You chose to stay. Even now. Tears slid down his cheeks. I chose you, he whispered. She smiled barely. Then, I choose to live. And the temple responded. Energy flowed into her armor, into her body. The vines wrapped around her gently, pulsing, healing. Eli watched in awe. Mara's eyes opened wide. She was not broken. She was rising. Days passed, not measured by clocks or missions, but by quiet moments and slow breaths. The jungle around the temple was alive again, but alert. Vines moved with silent purpose. Flowers tracked movement. The air shimmered faintly, as if the land itself remembered the battle that nearly took Mara's life. Inside the temple, Eli sat beside her bed. She slept, finally at peace. Her wounds had closed. The ancient vines had wrapped around her gently, pulsing with energy, as if the planet itself had decided she deserved to stay. Her breathing was steady. Her skin, once pale with pain, now glowed softly again. Eli hadn't left her side. Not for food, not for rest. He just stayed. He thought back to the battlefield where they met. To the moment he believed his life was over. To the arms that held him, not as an enemy, not as a trophy, but as someone worth saving. Now it was his turn. For once, the pain in his chest wasn't fear. It was love. Not the romantic kind. Not fully. Not yet, but something deeper, rarer. He had never been seen like this before. Never been chosen like this before. When Mara finally stirred, her silver eyes slowly opened. She blinked, looking up at him. "You didn't leave," she whispered. Eli laughed, tired but relieved. "You really thought I would?" She reached for his hand, hers still dwarfing his, and held it gently. "No one has ever stayed," she said softly. "Well," he said, squeezing her hand, "get used to it." Later that evening, Mara stood for the first time tall and strong once more. Her armor was gone. She wore a robe of living thread woven by the vines, responding to her body like it knew her soul. She stepped into the memory hall with Eli beside her, but something had changed. The statues no longer glowed. Alone, a new stone had risen among them, unfinished. But forming it showed Mara kneeling beside a small, broken figure Eli. It was a living memory being carved by the temple itself. She stared at it, surprised. "This place accepts you," she said. He looked up at her. "What does that mean?" She turned to face him fully. "It means we can build something here, together." Eli nodded slowly. "No more orders, no more battles," he whispered. She smiled. "Only healing." They stood side by side, two survivors from opposite worlds, no longer bound by war, no longer trapped by pain. In the weeks that followed, they restored the temple together. Eli learned the alien tongue. Mara taught him the old songs. He cooked his strange earth recipes, burned most of them, but she ate every bite with amusement. They planted new trees in the outer garden. They let laughter return, and sometimes, on the quietest nights, Eli would rest his head against her shoulder, and she would hum that soft, deep song that first calmed his nightmares. He never dreamed of fire anymore, only stars and her voice. Then one day, while walking by the river, he asked her quietly, "Why did you really choose me?" She stopped, looked down at him, and said, "Because when I saw you dying, I didn't see a human." She leaned down, her forehead gently touching his. "I saw someone who would never run from love." And in that moment, Eli knew he hadn't just survived. He hadn't just healed. He had become something new, something whole. They were more than alien and human now. They were more than survivor and savior. They were home.